My name is Margaret Sullivan. I am 70 years old. For the last 9 years, I had been the quiet foundation of my only daughter Jessica's entire adult life. I paid the first year's rent when she moved to Seattle after college. I covered her student loans when the interest rates jumped. I bought her first car when hers was repossessed. I funded the IVF treatments when she and her husband Ryan couldn't conceive naturally. I paid for the nursery, the private preschool, the summer camps, the orthodontics for both children, the family vacations to Hawaii and Disneyland, the down payment on their current house. Every time I tried to gently suggest they start budgeting more carefully, Jessica would lower her voice and say the words that always melted me. "Mom, you're literally the only person who has ever truly loved me unconditionally." I believed her. I believed it for 9 years. When Jessica and Ryan announced they were finally having a big, proper wedding renewal after a quick courthouse ceremony years earlier, I was over the moon. I started planning months in advance. I bought a mother-of-the-bride dress in soft champagne silk, elegant, timeless, the kind of dress I imagined being photographed in with my daughter and grandchildren. I set aside $18,000 as a surprise gift so they could have the European honeymoon they had always dreamed of. Then came the phone call. I called Jessica to ask which weekend the ceremony was so I could book my flight and hotel. Ryan answered on speaker. "Hey, Margaret, we actually already did it." "Did what?" "The renewal, last Saturday, at the vineyard Ryan's cousin owns. It was beautiful. Just close family and our closest friends." My throat closed. Close family? Yeah, my parents, my sister and her kids, Ryan's grandparents, Jessica's college roommates, the kids, of course. We kept it intimate, no big fuss. I whispered, "I wasn't invited to my own daughter's wedding renewal?" Jessica's voice came through, light and dismissive. "Mom, don't make this a thing. It was low-key. We didn't want to stress you out with travel. You know how hard airports are for you now." I didn't scream. I didn't cry on the phone. I said, "I see," and hung up. That night, I opened Instagram. The album was called Forever and Always, Our Wedding Renewal. Over 90 photos. Jessica in a flowing white gown with lace sleeves, Ryan in a navy suit, a live band, a 6-tier cake with edible gold leaf, Ryan's mother dabbing tears with a silk handkerchief, Jessica's best friend giving a speech, the children scattering rose petals, a sunset first dance under string lights, 120 guests. It wasn't intimate, it wasn't low-key. It was deliberately, painstakingly curated, and I had been deliberately erased. The champagne silk dress still hangs in my closet, tags still on. I had pictured wearing it while watching my daughter renew her vows. Now it is a silent accusation every time I open the door. 10 days later, Jessica called in tears. "Mom, the venue sent the final invoice. It's $14,800 more than we budgeted. Ryan's parents can't cover the rest. We're short. Can you—" I cut her off. "No." Long silence. Then the script. "You're seriously going to punish me? Punish your grandchildren because you're mad about one day? That's cruel, Mom." I answered quietly, "I only pay for weddings I'm invited to." She gasped. "You're holding money over my head to control me." "No, Jessica, I'm finally stopping paying for a life that doesn't include me." She cried, yelled, called me selfish, said Ryan was right, that I had always been emotionally manipulative, that the kids were asking why Grandma hated them now. I blocked her number. Within 3 days, the messages flooded in from mutual friends and family. "Is it true you refuse to help with the renewal costs? Jessica said you're cutting her off because she didn't invite you. That's cold. She's saying you're having a breakdown." I didn't answer anyone. Instead, I sat at my kitchen table with 9 years of bank statements, credit card records, Venmo history, Zelle transfers, and canceled checks. I calculated. Rent and deposits, first 3 apartments, $62,400. Student loans and interest payments, $84,300. Car purchases and payments, 2 vehicles, $39,800. IVF treatments, 3 rounds, $58,900. Children's expenses, nursery, preschool, camps, braces, sports, $87,200. Weddings and honeymoons, first marriage plus renewal, $29,400. Down payment on their current house, $68,000. Miscellaneous emergencies, vacations, clothes, medical, $71,500. Total, $501,500. I stared at the number until my vision blurred. That was my retirement, my travel dreams, the money my late husband left so I could live comfortably after 43 years as a public school teacher. Gone. For a daughter who considered me essential when the credit card was needed, but invisible when vows were renewed. The next morning, I went to my bank. I closed every joint account. I removed Jessica and Ryan as authorized users on every card. I placed a credit freeze and fraud alert. I canceled every automatic transfer I had set up years earlier, just in case. The branch manager, Mrs. Rivera, looked at me with concern. "Margaret, are you okay? You've been so generous for so long." I smiled, the first real smile in weeks. I'm finally being generous to myself. That afternoon, Jessica, Ryan, and Jessica's best friend pulled into my driveway. They didn't knock. They used the spare key I had given Jessica for emergencies. I changed the locks the next day. But that afternoon, they walked right in. Jessica stood in my living room crying. "Mom, please, the credit cards are maxed out. The preschool is threatening to unenroll the kids. We're drowning." I stood by the kitchen doorway. "You should have thought about that before you planned a renewal for over 100 people and didn't include your mother." Ryan stepped forward. "We're family. You can't just abandon us." I looked at the man I had helped buy a house for. Family doesn't humiliate family and then ask for money 10 days later. Jessica's best friend tried the soft approach. "Margaret, she's your only child. You're breaking her heart." I turned to Jessica. "When was the last time you called me just to ask how I was, not to ask for money, just to talk?" She looked away. "Exactly." They left angry. Threats followed. "We'll tell everyone what kind of mother you are. You're selfish. You're losing your mind." A month later, a certified letter arrived. Jessica and Ryan were suing me for promissory estimony and intentional infliction of emotional distress, claiming I had verbally promised to support them indefinitely and that my cutoff caused severe hardship. They asked for $750,000, more than I had ever given, plus punitive damages. I hired an attorney, Miss Callahan, who specialized in elder financial abuse. She read the complaint and said, "This is one of the weakest cases I've ever seen. They have nothing enforceable." We countersued for repayment of $501,500, not because I expected to collect it all, but to create a public record. The discovery process was painful. They submitted texts where I said, "Of course I'll help," and "anything for my grandbabies." My lawyer submitted 9 years of transfers, receipts, screenshots of the renewal album they themselves posted, and messages where they asked for money within days of events I was excluded from. During mediation, Jessica cried the entire time. Ryan looked at his phone. Their lawyer tried to paint me as a controlling, bitter woman jealous of their happiness. My Callahan asked Jessica one question on record. If your mother had been invited to the renewal, would you still be asking her for $750,000 today? Jessica stared at the table. No answer. The judge dismissed their claim. We did not drop our countersuit. They settled for $180,000, paid over 7 years. I never asked for the money out of greed. I asked for the paper trail, so no one could ever again say I abandoned them. I sold the house filled with memories of a little girl who used to beg for bedtime stories. I bought a small condo on the Oregon coast. I started volunteering at the local library. I joined a watercolor group. I made friends who invite me to dinner not because they need something, but because they enjoy my company. Some nights I still look at old photos of Jessica as a child. I don't hate her. I just don't owe her anymore. And that freedom is worth more than all the money I ever gave.